if he's able to join. I'm sure he will. Okay, thank you. All right. Welcome, everyone. We want to call the meeting of the Audit and Finance Committee to order on December 8th, 2020. Thank you all for joining. I was hoping that we could have been able to meet in person, but I guess that's not possible yet. So we'll wait till the next meeting. Gloria, I don't have the agenda here in front of me. Could you let me know what we have next on the agenda, or do we just start right off with Mr. Fitz? Susan?
No, yeah,
I'm sorry.
We can go ahead and lead into Mr. Fitz.
Okay.
Yeah, presentation.
That would be great. Okay, great. Thank you. Mr. Fitz, if you don't mind, welcome.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having us today.
Absolutely.
I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to try to share my screen after a few months of this. I should be able to master this. We'll see. Y'all see our presentation there?
Yes.
Okay, good deal. I'm glad to be with you today. We are substantially complete with the audit, so we wanted to go through the results of that with you and see what questions you may have. And anybody, please feel free to speak up at any point. If you got questions, you don't need to wait until the end or anything like that. And it's everything's a little different these days than usual, including this. Usually, of course, we're sitting in the same room, and so usually we're flipping through that big book together. But we thought, given the current arrangements, that kind of just pulling everything together in a summary presentation may work easier, may work better. But that doesn't mean we don't want to cover any more detailed questions or issues that y'all have. And we've met with most of y'all before, but again, I'm James Fitz. I'm the engagement partner, and Ben Cohen is here with me. He's our senior manager on the engagement. We both work with a lot of governmental entities and other higher education institutions, and really enjoy that work. And Weaver as a firm does a lot of higher education work. Government overall is our largest audit industry practice in the firm, but we work in a lot of higher ed as well. And we've got a lot of folks who speak at the TACBO and TASBO conferences. And so we really enjoy that work. A little bit about our audit process. We typically get our interim field work going in July, start looking at internal controls, getting updates and things along those lines, planning and getting understanding of changes at the college and looking at the interim numbers. And then we do the heavy lifting as far as audit field work in October and November. Here with you today presenting preliminary results, and then we do plan to issue a final report in time for your board meeting next week. And we try to stay in touch all year, and your team is good about that. We appreciate it when they reach out with questions or just to update us on things that are going on, because it's easier to do that as things happen rather than to catch up down the line. A little more about our audit process. We perform our audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards as well as government auditing standards. We perform the single audit work, which deals with compliance with requirements under the federal and state grants that the college receives. And then we have to consider other aspects of compliance as well, in regards to any laws or regulations that could have a material effect on the financial statements. We take a risk-based approach in our audit, so we don't want to spend a lot of time on things that don't matter or things that have a very low likelihood of any sort of significant area. So we perform a risk assessment and focus our time in those areas that are most vulnerable. Just some examples of some risks that would be common here and that are applicable to the district. Anytime you've got a lot of grant revenues and expenditures, you've got some risk there. Cash disbursements for payroll and other expenditures, as much money as goes through the college. You always have misappropriation and other risks there. And then improper revenue recognition is always presumed to be a risk in a financial statement audit, unless unusual circumstances dictate that can be rebutted. We test internal controls over both financial reporting and compliance. Just certain key controls that are the most relevant and significant ones for the objectives that we need to test. We test compliance with major program requirements. That refers back to that single audit work for the federal and state grants. And we design our audit plan to provide reasonable assurance regarding the district's financial statements and compliance, so that our procedures would detect any material misstatement or any material noncompliance. And y'all have all been through this big book, but just a summary of it again. The introductory section comes first. You've got the transmittal letter and the chancellor's letter and org chart, GFOA certificate. And then comes the financial section that starts off with our report, and then management's discussion and analysis, which is that summary of about, I think, 7 or 8 pages or so that discusses what went on with the college as far as finances are concerned in the current fiscal year compared to the prior fiscal year, with some other comparisons to the year before that. That section is not audited. Now, the numbers that are being quoted there, are derived from the audited financial statements, but we don't issue an opinion on the MD&A. But we are required to read it and make sure that there's nothing that's materially inconsistent with what we found in our audit. After that, the basic financial statements, then required supplementary information, and that's the schedules related to pensions and other post-employment benefits. Those are not audited. Supplementary data, those are the schedules that are required by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, as well as the schedules of expenditures of federal and state awards. After the financial section is the statistical section, the tables with all kinds of interesting information that goes back a full decade whenever all that information is available. Some of those numbers are derived from the financial statements, but some are non-financial in nature. Some of them are about the district's employment, about principal taxpayers, about students, about tuition rates. Lots of interesting information there, and neat to see a whole history in one place there. And then the last 2 sections are the federal and state single audits, where we give our reports on compliance. And just some highlights from the financial statements. You can see there total assets going up each year, and you can see a larger uptick this year compared to the last couple years. A big part of that would really be the unspent bond proceeds, because the bond issuance went out shortly before year end. If you consider the premium, $300 million came in and was sitting there in cash at the end of the year. Of course, that's going to be spent for renovations and so forth. And then net position, that also increased this year. And y'all may know this, but the issuance of the bonds, really has no effect on net position, because net position is, assets minus liabilities. And because they were issued so close to year end, essentially, your cash is essentially equal to the bonds payable, if you want to kind of oversimplify a little bit. So it's got no effect on net position. And a few more figures. You can see revenue is showing good increases there over time. And then the increase in net position also showing a good increase this year compared to last. So as far as our reports, anybody have any questions?
Yes, this is Bill Greenhill. I'm not sure how detailed you're going to be going into this, but I was looking at expenses, and it says that public service was also the most significant year-to-year percentage change. What is public service? Just a definition of it.
Trying to think of a good example of something that's going to land there for y'all. It's really activities that are established for non-instructional services
Okay. So
that benefit individuals and groups.
okay, so that was a significant decrease, and I was just wondering what that was. Okay, because salaries increased, staff benefits increased, other expenses decreased, and it looks like public service was the reason for that decrease. Okay, thanks.
And that might be, I've read the MD&A, but it's been a couple days. That specifically might be addressed in the MD&A, because that's part of what the purpose of the MD&A is to walk you through.
That's what I'm reading. That's what I'm reading, and I was just wondering what public service was, and so you just answered my question.
Okay, good, sure. So here's our preliminary results. Now, we've used past tense on here. We haven't issued any reports yet, but this is based on what we anticipate issuing before the board meeting. We do plan to issue an unmodified report on the financial statements, and that's some may say a clean opinion. It's the one you want. It's the best one you can get, for sure. We have not noted any non-compliance that's material to the financial statements. We don't plan to report any material weaknesses, internal control, or significant deficiencies. If we go to the federal awards, and I want to give a qualification here as well. We're still getting some information from the college, particularly as it relates to the CARES Act, but also I think a couple of the other grant issues. And the CARES Act, the feds still have not put out all the guidance that they've promised everyone, and they keep pushing back those dates, and that's not going to hold us up. But they're just making everyone's lives a little more stressful by doing that. And who knows, it could drop any time. But they have put out some guidance. They just haven't put out the audit guide that they typically do to provide both auditees and auditors kind of a roadmap for what they're looking for.
Have you heard of any, in conversations with your groups, have you heard of any material adverse changes that they might send out? I mean,
I have not.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone that I know or talked to about it anticipate any, what we're waiting for is kind of more details
yeah.
on, guidance for what's already been granted. Now, as far as any changes going forward, we has been less of our focus as far as it relates to this. But yeah, we're not aware of any significant changes expected to come out of any guidance to be issued soon.
Okay.
And at this point, we don't know of any issues in regards to federal grants that would be required to be reported. As we get that information, as we wrap up, if that changes, we'll certainly let everyone know. But at this point, we're not aware of any issues. State awards, much smaller number, about I think 5 million compared to about 100 million, if you round. But we do perform tests of compliance on certain state major programs. We audited the Texas Education Opportunity Grant this year, and we don't have any issues to report on that. Anytime you've got financial statements of an entity as large as the college, you're probably going to have some significant estimates. A few of the significant estimates in the college's financial statements would be the amounts related to pensions and amounts related to other post-employment benefits. Now, those, as you know, those significant estimates are not really made by your accounting team because those plans are audited at the state level, and they kind of carve it up, if you will, and say, Tarrant County College, here's your piece of the pension liability, and ERS says, here's your piece of the OPEB liability. So y'all just kind of plug in what they tell you. And then the last estimate listed there is depreciable lives of capital assets, because capital assets are a very large part of the total assets of the college. There were not any significant changes in accounting policies or their application this year. They actually did everyone a favor. They had some planned.
I know.
Not as big as pension OPEB changes, but they had some planned. But they had a little compassion on everyone. They said, oh, well, it seems everybody's got a little some other stuff to deal with at the moment. So
give us a break. Mm-hmm.
They actually gave everyone a break, so that they pushed off the new rules till later. But again, nothing pending that's as earth-shattering as pension and OPEBs. Everybody still needs a few years to get over those, I think. Our audit procedures do not reveal any material misstatements. And while we're not flipping through the books like we usually are, I did want to point out note 7 in the book, because that's a brand new note, because it relates to bonds payable, of which there were none at the end of the prior fiscal year. But now there's a new footnote. It just talks about the issuance, why, the purpose of the issuance, when it's going to be paid back, the interest rates, things along those lines. And on the right there, those are just some circumstances that we would be required to discuss with you if they came up, but none of them did. Like if we could not come to an agreement with management on an accounting issue or things like that, those would be listed there, but we didn't have anything of that nature. And then speaking of your accounting team, they always do a great job. They probably deserve an extra gold medal this year. Aside from always being helpful and cooperating with us, they had the pandemic to deal with, just like all of us, but they also got these millions of dollars coming in all of a sudden. Under the CARES Act, they had to kind of figure it out on the fly. The money's coming in faster than the guidance. And then they had the bond issuance to deal with as well. So they were kind of juggling a few flaming knives, I guess. So they did a great job dealing with all that. And then also I wanted to point out that last year's financial report did receive the GFOA Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. And Nancy's got a really good streak going there, 28th consecutive years, 28th consecutive year. And we're all confident that when this year's financial report is finished and submitted, that she'll make it 29. So any questions on anything that we went over, or anything that you've seen in the book that you want to ask about, or anything else?
Mr. Fitz, thank you for that. I did have a very quick question. I probably should have asked it earlier. Under the fiscal year 2020 financial highlights, I know you called out a few things, but is there like a dollar amount that's kind of established, or a baseline that says that you have, this is considered a financial highlight, or what are the determinants around that?
Like what kind of like when we're considering what we would want to highlight, like
right.
here?
Right.
Mm-hmm. No, not really. And it differs depending on your group, because you can take the same set of financial statements, and depending on the group, one group might want to know about revenue, and one group may only want to hear about net income. So you to some extent, to the extent that or it's knowable, you consider what the vested interest of the group is, and so forth. But no, as far as these highlights, we just considered, and management, we talked with management about it too. We just considered some of the things that are most important to financial statement users, to the board, things that are common measures from year to year.
Okay.
Ms. Ayala, if I may I ask him to elaborate on something?
Sure. Thanks.
If you'll notice on page 7, and this is the table that Mr. Greenhill was looking at a moment ago, there is a reduction in tuition and fees. And I'm wondering if James can share an explanation of the CARES Act grant funding and how it's treated from an accounting perspective that speaks to that, rather than it being a true decline in tuition. I think that one's important for you guys to see specifically.
Yeah. That's a very good thing to point out. Yeah, thank you. Because it kind of turns out goofy, to be honest with you. So, it's not that, and y'all know this, it's not that you didn't have a big shrink in enrollment, and it's not that you slashed tuition rates. Neither of those things occurred. It really has to do with what is shown there on Exhibit 2 as allowances and discounts. So if you take, we can apply it to a Pell Grant or CARES Act. Let's just start with the Pell Grant, though, since that's kind of more everyday occurrence. If you take $1 of Pell and you apply it to the student's account, for financial reporting purposes, that reduces your tuition and fees, because the rules tell you that that's a discount. It's kind of weird. It kind of shows up oddly, but yeah, if you apply a student's Pell Grant to their account directly, you don't cut them a check. That reduces your tuition and fees. It's an offset to tuition and fees. It's a discount. But if you write a check to that student for their Pell, the same dollars, but you don't apply it to their account, you write them a check, it's down in operating expenses under scholarships, which is, kind of strange, because it's the same, it's the same dollar. It's still Pell's. It's still going, benefiting a student, whether it's a check or going to their account, but it shows up on the financial statements differently. So to the extent that students chose to apply their CARES Act funding to their account, that reduced tuition and fees. And as many millions as that was, it certainly made a dent there in tuition and fees. So it does really kind of skew the comparability from year to year.
Thank you for that. Thanks for bringing that up. Will you be reporting also at the meeting on next week?
I will, yes.
Okay, great.
And actually, to be clear, he'll do a briefing at work session this week. And then the following week at the board meeting, you'll actually have an action item to receive officially the CAFR.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Do we need any kind of motion or acceptance by this committee or recommendation that we should present to the board at our board meeting? I don't remember if we have ever done that before. I'm not asking for it. It's just, do we need it?
So you could, if then at the board meeting, then you wouldn't need a second on the motion to accept it, but it's not necessary. If you guys would rather just refer it on the board as a whole at work session this week, then that's sufficient.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. No,
that's fine. That's fine. We can do that.
No big deal.
Yeah. Any other questions that you might have, Phil?
No, and I'll just point out, Teresa, that most, the best thing to do is to read the discussion and analysis, and the first part of it is how you get the best kind of, instead of going through all the numbers. That's what I read mostly. And then as usual, there's all that great information about the details in the back of the book that is useful sometimes. But anyway, no, I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Chancellor, any questions or comments?
No, thank you. I did receive the report. I met with James this morning and answered some questions for me. So I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, certainly. Susan? Do you have any questions or comments?
Good. Just really appreciate the team's work on it. They put in a lot of effort to get us to this point.
Absolutely. Want to thank everyone that's contributed to this. I know Nathan has worked quite a bit. Nancy, there were just numerous folks. Thank you, Susan, the Chancellor, and Mr. Greenhill, too, for your feedback and guidance. And Mr. Fitz, this looks good. We appreciate that.
James, could you send us a copy of your pictures?
Sure.
Excel's, yeah. Just for if we need to talk about this at the meeting, we can have that too. Oh, you probably use this too. That's fine. Whatever.
Okay. And yes, we'll plan to be virtually at the governance meeting on Thursday.
Okie dokie.
That sounds great. Okay. I'm sorry. Did we have any public comment? I didn't ask earlier, Gloria.
We did not have any public comments.
Okay. All right. Okay. Unless there's anything further. Chancellor, you have anything else you have to close out with? Or Susan?
No, I don't. I don't have anything.
Okay. Mr. Greenhill, do you have anything before we close out?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think we'll go ahead and adjourn unless anyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Fitz, and for all those that attended, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.